Uncovering all the news from every dark corner of the universe. SliceofSciFi.com.
And greetings, everyone. It's time for another Slice of Sci-Fi. I am Michael R. Menenge.
I'm Sam Roberts.
I'm Megan Zier.
And I'm Tim Adamek.
Awesome. And we've got some Superman stuff.
Soups!
Soups!
Yay!
We're going to talk a little bit about soups, but we're going to start this out with a really cool and very thought-provoking little report.
Lots of superheroes have unique shields and symbols. Batman is one of comics' most popular symbols, even though there are various incarnations of it. But outmatching him internationally is Superman's S-shield. The S-shield has evolved a bit visually over the last 75 years. Where did the idea really come from? The first proto-superhero was Sir Percy Blakeney, the Scarlet Pimpernel. Sir Percy Blakeney didn't wear a mask or a costume, but he did employ an alter ego and leave calling cards behind decorated by his old family seal, the Scarlet Pimpernel. Sir Percy started the ball rolling on what became the superhero genre, and several of them used the same idea of having a seal or an object symbolizing their presence. The Spider would brand enemies with his lighter, the Lone Ranger would leave silver bullets behind. So it was in keeping with this tradition that Superman showed up with an obvious monogram on his chest. In 1938, the target audience for the comic books was basically children. So you didn't spend a lot of time going into depth thinking, well, where did the costume come from? What does it symbolize? He's wearing a costume, and it's decorated by an S because he's Superman. A couple of years after the comic book debuted, though, the Superman radio show went national, and it had a very interesting take on the origin. Kal-El leaves Krypton as a baby. His parents, Jor-El and Lara, send him away so that he'll survive the planet's destruction. But instead of arriving on Earth and being adopted by a kindly couple who name him Clark Kent, he arrives on Earth as an adult, and he's wearing the Superman outfit. This fact, along with dialogue in the scene, very strongly implied that Superman's outfit and the symbol were both part of his culture, that this actually meant something on Krypton. It wasn't just a circus strongman's outfit with a monogram.
I can't believe it.
Who are you, anyway? Where do you come from?
I have no name. I come from a world that no longer exists. Here in this world of yours, men would call me a Superman.
It's a dream. A wild, impossible dream.
Now I want your advice.
You want advice from us?
You know this world. I am a stranger. You know the people in it. And I have still to find them out. See them at their best and their worst. Know which to help and when help is needed.
Well, now let me think. Now, how about a newspaper? A great metropolitan daily.
Oh, but you can't do it in those clothes. Not that blue costume with the cloak and shield on your breast. Gee, you couldn't.
Jimmy, these are the cloak and the shield of Superman. If I become as other men, I shall dress as other men.
The comic books didn't follow this idea, though, and it was largely forgotten about for years. When it was decided later that Superman actually began his career as an adolescent named Superboy, it was said that his adopted parents, the Kents, helped design the costume with him. The Superboy stories also, adorably, came up with a couple of other reasons why the hero would wear an S on his chest.
I chose this symbol not only to stand for Superboy, and later Superman. It will also mean saving lives, stopping crime, and giving super aid wherever it's needed.
As the years went on, we started seeing more and more of Krypton. We also started meeting Kryptonian criminals who became enemies of Superman. And we saw that they wore outfits that resembled the hero's uniform. Bright colors, sometimes cloaks, geometric shapes or planetary bodies decorating the shirts. So even though Superman's outfit and symbol were not literally of Krypton, you could see that he was emulating it in some way. It was an Earthborn interpretation of Kryptonian wardrobe. It's a really nice idea because he is showing that he is remembering his past while striving for the future. One story said that Jonathan Kent designed the S-shield because of a dream he had, a vision of a great sword that was created during the birth of the universe, marked with this strange insignia. Mario Puzo, who was the writer of The Godfather, also wrote the screenplay for Superman the movie in 1978. He wanted the S-shield to have a cultural significance on Krypton, to actually be something that decorated many of its monuments and cities. By the time the movie was shot, this idea was diminished, and the shield was simply a House of L symbol. So in the movie, Lois Lane names Superman. Because she sees the symbol, she thinks it looks like an S, and Superman is the word that comes to mind when she sees this guy in action. The comic books liked the idea of Lois being the one who named Superman, especially because it seemed less and less likely that Clark would choose such a title for himself. But they didn't copy the idea, at least at first, that the S-shield actually came from Krypton. However, all the television tie-in media followed the movie's idea. The live-action Superboy series, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Superman the Animated Series, Smallville. Meanwhile, back in the comics, a series called The Kents strongly implied that Clark Kent and Jonathan Kent had gotten the idea for the S-shield because of a blanket that their family had inherited, and it was decorated by the symbol of a healing snake. In 2003, Superman's origin was revised again. The story was Superman Birthright, written by Mark Waid and penciled by Leinil Francis Yu. If you've never read a Superman comic before, if you think he's a Boy Scout and doesn't really work in the modern world, I suggest you check out Superman Birthright. Superman Birthright finally made it comic book canon that the S-shield does indeed come from Krypton. But Mark Waid didn't stop there. He didn't want it to just be a family crest because Superman isn't just the last son of the House of L. He's the last son of Krypton. The S-shield is a Kryptonian glyph that means hope. So now Superman's costume isn't just celebrating his heritage, it's announcing what he fights for. Fun trivia for you, according to a later comic, if you flip the S-shield upside down, it becomes the Kryptonian symbol for resurrection. And for a lot of people over the decades, the S-shield has actually come to mean fighting for a better tomorrow anyway. Superman is someone who loves us, who absolutely believes in us. If he didn't believe in us, he could leave. He's Superman. So if he's come to represent hope as a character, why not say the symbol means that literally?
Very, very cool stuff.
So, before we dig into the Superman stuff, that's the same guy who did the Wonder Woman, right?
Yes, it is.
I love those bits because I'm not like a hardcore comic reader. I love learning the history and getting some insight from somebody who has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. And it's
those
amazing.
Are really great.
The evolution of these characters and where they start and how they end up where they are now. And a lot of that, and that's in all of these characters. I mean, we see that in Spider-Man. We see that in X-Men are huge for that. There's so many different variations and iterations of it. Absolutely. But you know, Superman is one of those that has kind of transcended the ages as well, because it means so many different things to so many different people.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say, it helps me watching that Alan, right? I think his name is Alan. Sort of have more of an appreciation for the Boy Scoutness of Superman, right? When you talk about him being a symbol of hope and reflecting that in the S-shield and kind of what they came up as canon, which makes me go back to Man of Steel, right? And what happened there at the end and how some people had kind of an issue with that. And the more I think about it, the more I think that maybe they're kind of right. Like that was a decision to have Superman participate in something that maybe he, was not necessarily really true to the core of the character over the grand history of all the comic books. And I read something, I wonder if it's true, that Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder disagreed, and Christopher Nolan didn't want him to participate in that big fight with all the collateral damage and do the killing. Because he didn't think Superman would do that, and Zack Snyder said, we're modern and we're cool, and I think we can make it fly, and so he did it anyway. I don't know if that's true, but
Wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me, based on what I know of them, but it could just be gossip. But, I'm interested to see if they rectify that a little in the Batman-Superman thing.
I know Superman, and I got into Superman at Birthright. I'm so glad that he brought that up.
That storyline, yeah.
Because that was always the thing that I never understood, people talking about how he was such a goody-goody Boy Scout and so forth. No, not in Birthright. In Birthright, he is a little edgier. He's a little bit more of a real person that is struggling with the normal real person stuff that we all have to deal with. And I think that series, since I started there, it may have changed the way I perceive Superman and why I have so little problem with the new movie.
So I'm going to say, let's talk about our definition of Boy Scout and edge, right? Because I think the struggle is appropriate. I like the struggle. I think if it's an easy decision, if you're always dun doing the right thing, then it's not interesting.
It's not conflict.
So having the internal struggle is one thing. It's the decisions and how and what's acted on that is the difference. And if you were to ask me to pick a comic book character who is almost always gonna do the right thing, even when it's really difficult, I'm gonna think it's gonna be Superman. So I don't know Birthright, so I don't know what you mean by edgy and whether you know what I mean.
It's a little different, yeah.
Yeah, I'll need to read that. It's one of the things that I thought has always differentiated Superman from everybody else. Superman has always been not just an idealist, but he has been an ideal himself. It's you said you would have one character that you would always think did the right thing after lots of thinking. I'd go Batman. If you just had one character who did the right thing automatically, period. Superman.
Yes, exactly.
See, I think it's a stronger statement that he's the last of his kind. His planet's been destroyed.
Yes.
He's alone, really. I mean, he has his adopted family, and that's great, but he's an alien. He's like there's a lot of inherent angst in the Superman character, and I think it's a little more powerful that he overcomes that.
Exactly. Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
And because then the fact that he can be so hopeful and so good in the face of all that built-in I think is more powerful.
Right.
But I think it's more real.
Well, yeah, exactly. But what does it say to us about a society now that we reject a pure thought and idea now?
Exactly.
That's true.
We cannot accept something that actually means exactly what it says. It has to have a flaw.
But then there's all these people who are rejecting the new Man of Steel idea of this kind of emo Superman.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Because I don't know, what I always liked about Superman is what you touched on, is that he is alone, but then he chooses to be human. He chooses to embrace us. And I think that's the best part of Superman for me, because he is that ideal and he chooses to be a part of us, and because he's a part of us, we can be like him too. That's what Superman is to me.
See, I'm always about the growth. I like the growth and the internal conflict and the struggle.
But that's never what Superman was about.
Exactly.
Superman was never about.
I think of Batman that way more than I think Superman.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Superman was about
what
your
I'm saying.
growth, not his.
But that's the thing, is that's Birthright. Birthright was the growth, and you actually saw the development, and you saw him actually have to become a good person.
Yeah,
and
it's
the internal
younger
conflict
Superman.
of it.
Yeah, because I think when you think of Superman, as a boy, you could see him that way. You can see him struggling to find out who he is. But as an adult, you want Superman to have his crap together, because he is Superman.
Right.
So,
and I felt like they got that a lot right in Man of Steel up to a certain point, right? And I don't necessarily have huge objections to the end. I get why people do. I'm a little more sympathetic now. But, his running away from it a little bit, but then, having to do these things, and then when he finally has to come out and be Superman, he really was, and I think Henry Cavill did a great job. He exuded that, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna do, it's okay.
There were several things.
I'm Superman, it's cool, without being smug. It was earnest and believable, and you know what I mean? And I enjoyed that.
And what I love about Superman, he's like, yeah, that's what I do. Y'all would do it too, right? That's what I love about Superman, and that's more about how we could be Superman. If we had Superman's powers, obviously that's what we do. No. That's why we have dark emo Superman, because people are rejecting it. But what I love about Superman is he just assumes we'd all do that.
Right.
Because that's who
Superman
humanity is.
believes in you, essentially, is what it is.
But
he thinks the good exists, period.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's also a great, because I'm talking about you got to have conflict to have interest, right? And that's also a great recipe for conflict, because he is going to believe in you and he is going to get disappointed.
Exactly.
Because we're human, we're not Superman. So there's that opportunity for conflict. And think about how much more interesting it would have been in Man of Steel with that big final battle where they're destroying buildings that people are probably in and getting injured and dying, is if Superman was going out of his way to protect people while he was having this fight. Having to do both, because there were so many big brawls in that movie that it became the same after a while.
And comic books have done that in the past, where they've had to stop in the middle of their fight and be like, holy crap, that person's falling out of a building.
Right? Or I got to catch the bus before it lands on people.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you can do that.
We even saw that in Iron Man.
But you saw it in the first Superman movie. I mean, that was the whole the original
exactly.
Superman
because it's
movie.
appropriate.
Exactly.
Yeah, Superman doesn't stop saving people just because it happened in the first movie.
Right.
Right? I'm thinking Zack Snyder missed the opportunity to make that fight stand out, because the couple others that you'd had there, they all started to feel the same.
That is, I will give you that. I will absolutely give you that, because there was a lot of times where it's like, okay, enough already. You know, you're just it's enough. It's enough. I get it. It's epic. It's a giant battle, but okay, it's enough.
Yeah.
You expect Batman to maybe kill some people on the street as he's driving the Batmobile like a crazy guy, and then go home and get drunk over it.
Yes.
You expect Superman to turn around and just not have it happen.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Or do anything he can to not allow it to happen.
Yeah. I actually buy him, spoiler, like we haven't already talked spoilers.
Really?
Sorry. Killing Zod more than I buy the fight, because that was sort of, he was backed into that corner, and that was traumatic for him, and I saw that. It's still not quite Superman.
I still like that, though.
I'm okay with that more than I am him not even thinking about it in the fight. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't even show him have an inkling for any of the people around him, which I find less believable than him being backed into the Killing Zod corner.
I agree with that. Actually, there should have been a lot more conflict with him having to make that decision than there was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the end could have ended. It could have still been the same result, but it should have been more conflicted, and there should have been more. He should have really gone out of his way to try and figure out, can I actually change his genetic imprinting and turn him into something else? And the realization that no, I will never be able to change him. So he is going to be this until he basically destroys all of us.
Yeah. Is anybody reading the current Superman there is? Is that something we want to get in on? Do we know?
No, I'm not.
Do we have any? So, listeners, viewers out there, let us know if you're on the whatever the current Man of Superman storyline is, if we care.
Absolutely.
I gave up all DC comics when they redid their reboot. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah.
Also, Superman's new outfit is stupid.
Alrighty then.
Okay, and what do you really think about
Meghan
it?
has spoken.
Yeah, Superman needs to have underwear on the outside. I'm sorry. Without the underwear, it looks even weirder. It looks like he's not wearing underwear at all. It's weird.
Is it any worse than Captain America with a Puerto Rican flag on his chest?
Yes, it's much worse.
Really?
Much worse.
Okay.
Puerto Rican flag?
And that is going to do it for us.
Alrighty then.
Wow. Go to Facebook. Let's start a conversation there. Let's get things going, because Facebook is where we can all interact and have a opinion.
Pro underwear or against underwear?
They're right. Do you like your underwear or not?
Outside or inside?
Inside. I wear my underwear outside.
So Superman's
I'm
going
not pro-undies.
commando.
That's what it looks like. It's so dumb.
That's okay. It's not going to hurt him. He's the Man of Steel.
But
it's not like he needs
I'm
to.
a Puritan, and I have my standards of decency.
The skid marks have to be impressive.
Oh.